Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie and I make weekly finance and lifestyle videos, and today is my very first video on my financial literacy series. So I was thinking about my channel and I really like talking about finances in a really realistic way, like how to budget, things that you shouldn't spend your money on, like strategies to save money. And then I realized when I was growing up, I didn't even know like financial terms. It was telling me to build an emergency fund. I'm like, but what's an emergency fund? So I thought this series would be like a really great way to just talk about some financial terms that you should be familiar with, what they are, in a really digestible way. So I'm going to be explaining the differences between an emergency fund and a sinking fund. If you're interested in this type of content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss a new video when I post. So what is an emergency fund? Before we even go into the definition, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It is a fund for emergencies. But the really key portion of this is an emergency fund is a set of money that is set aside for unplanned and unseen emergencies. So it is a set of money for unexpected things that could happen in your life. Emergency fund is something that happened in your life that you would be able to cover your monthly expenses. And so ideally an emergency fund should be 3 to 6 months. And I don't want to scare you because I understand given what's going on in the world, 6-month emergency fund might not be realistic. Telling you 6 months of expenses, you're like, but I live paycheck to paycheck. I understand that there's a lot of circumstances going on, such as crippling student debt, stagnated wages, everything else makes us not be able to afford to live and save money. What you want to do is start saving now. Even if you're not able to do the 6 months, just set a certain amount aside each month, even if it's only $1 or $10, so you're able to build your emergency fund over time. Even if you're able to have like a 1-month emergency fund, that's better than nothing. Think about the emergency fund as unexpected things that may happen. They may hinder or alter how much your monthly income is. So things like a pandemic, so all of a sudden you lose your job, a loss of a loved one that results in loss of income, medical expenses, so if you have to have a procedure or something happens and you're not able to work, catastrophic events or natural disasters, so if you lose your home to like a hurricane. The key point of that is these are expenses that you're not planning for. Like I'm not planning for my house to get destroyed from a hurricane. So this is a set of money that you want to make sure if the worst case scenario happens and you have zero income, you're able to sustain yourself at least for like 3 to 6 months ideally, because that 3 to 6 month range is usually for most people. If you lose your job, you'll be able to find at least some sort of income to supplement it. Make a whole separate video on what is an emergency fund and kind of a deep dive into it, but what is really important is there's not like a specific set of numbers that is an emergency fund. So I can't tell you $1,000 in an emergency fund, $10,000, $30,000. It is really personal to your life, so it depends how much your monthly expenses really are. Really personal, and it has a lot of different factors going into it. My emergency fund is going to look much different from yours. What is a sinking fund? So sinking fund is a savings strategy in which you set aside a little bit of money each month or contribute fully to it to prepare for a larger purchase in the future. So this could be a one-time purchase or like an irregular reoccurring purchase. So it's not necessarily every day or every year, but it does reoccur. Examples of setting up a sinking fund could be a vacation sinking fund, a wedding sinking fund, car repair sinking fund. Sinking fund versus just your traditional savings account is a little bit different because a sinking fund is very specific. So it's usually like one item or one sort of experience that is very clearly defined of what you're saving for. So thinking about, you're saving for your honeymoon. Maybe you would establish a sinking fund to have a honeymoon. And where you set up your sinking fund can look very different. You can do it in a traditional savings account. You can have it in a high yield savings account. Sinking account compared to like a traditional savings account is not actually that different. So a sinking fund is specific, so you know how much down to like the cents you'll need for a vacation or a wedding and when you'll be using it. The big thing with the sinking fund is it all comes down of being intentional. It's not unexpected expenses. It's something that you clearly are planning for. You're saving for a new car, next year's vacation, maybe a new, Chanel bag. kidding, not a Chanel bag, but I can dream. If sinking funds are really similar than savings account, then why wouldn't I just have them all in the same place? You know, the reason why some people might have separate accounts for like a wedding versus just their complete savings account, for some of us, we have a really hard time understanding the visual and physical separation of money. Having a separate account for a vacation and your savings, having an account that says, you know, I need to reach $1,000 in this sinking fund, and maybe you already have $5,000 in your savings account and you could easily just transfer 1,000 and now you have 1,000 in your sinking fund. It's the separation. It's identifying that some of us work better when we have clear, measurable, and everything has a very specific place to it. So having a specific fund for wedding is separate from a vacation. That is the difference between a sinking fund and emergency fund. So let's just recap. An emergency fund is a set of money put aside for unexpected and unseen circumstances that will be an emergency, like disasters, loss of job, medical emergencies, loss of loved ones. And the sinking fund is a lot more intentional. It's things that you foresee happening that you already know that you're trying to save for. And once you're able to save for it, you know, you may buy it or spend it on that experience, and then you might just completely get rid of the sinking fund. For example, when you have a wedding, you'll have a wedding sinking fund, and hopefully you won't have another wedding sinking fund. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you do want to see more videos about like financial literacy, let me know, because I like kind of researching about that and figuring out how to explain it to you guys in a really digestible way. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe. I make videos every single week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.